Elite Facts presents
8 film stunts gone wrong.
8.
The Lord of the Rings trilogy, Viggo stunts. Okay, we're starting this list with something a little more on the lighter side. Viggo Mortensen is generally known as that badass dad from The Road, but he started in a much different place. While performing in his breakthrough role as Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Viggo was referred to as the Walking Wounded by the film's director. He performed all of his own stunts and frequently suffered injuries while doing so. He even knocked out one of his teeth during a scene. The tooth was replaced during the crew's lunch break, and Viggo promptly returned to work afterwards. You've got to respect his commitment to the film's production.
7.
Gothica. So, how many of you remember the film Gothica? You know, the one about Halle Berry waking up in a mental institution because she's a psychiatrist convinced a ghost tried to kill her? No? Okay, we don't really know it either. We just know about it because we were doing research for this video. And we found out that Halle Berry did most of her own fights and stunts in this movie, something which cost her a broken arm. After one of her more physically demanding scenes got a little too physical, Berry was rushed to the hospital with a broken ulna. Her injury delayed filming, which was halfway done at the time of her accident, but it was completed and the movie was released at the end of 2003.
6.
The Expendables 3, Jason Statham's stunt. Now, if it was anyone else doing this stunt, it would probably have ended in death. On the set of the third Expendables film, Jason Statham almost died because the stunt truck he was testing out malfunctioned. Obviously, this is why they were testing it out, to see if there were any issues with the truck itself. And as you likely know, the crank actor does a lot of his own stunts, so it's no surprise that he has gotten himself into a predicament or two. While a lot of the stunts gone wrong may not be life-threatening, it sounds like this one was pretty close. Thankfully, Jason knew just what to do and he saved himself. Luckily, before testing out the vehicle, the doors were taken off for aesthetic purposes, allowing Statham a quick escape from the vehicle as it plunged 60 feet down into the Black Sea and became impaled on the jagged rocks waiting below. Luckily, Jason Statham is an Olympic-class swimmer and diver. If it was just a normal actor, it would have ended badly, guaranteed.
5.
Top Gun. Top Gun is a 1980s classic, an action romance film about a handsome young pilot attending naval dogfighting school, where he must prove himself among a crowd of other rowdy and judgmental pilots. Action-packed and all about fighter jets, this movie called for a number of risky mid-air stunts. A professional air stuntman named Art Shaw was hired to perform much of the in-flight camera work for Top Gun. Shaw was incredibly talented and experienced and had done aerial filming for commercials, television, and films like The Right Stuff and The A-Team. Top Gun would prove to be the last film he worked on, though. During a maneuver called a flat spin, Shaw was unable to recover the airplane to its regular position for reasons that still remain unknown. "I have a problem, I have a real problem," were his last words before crashing into the Pacific Ocean. Neither Shaw nor his airplane were ever recovered. 4. Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Amputated arm and Hummer death. It's pretty safe to say that the entire production of Resident Evil: The Final Chapter has been cursed from start to finish. 2 separate accidents occurred on set, with one ending in a severe career-ending injury and one resulting in a crew member's death. The first was when renowned stunt actress Olivia Jackson, who's well known for her stunt work in Star Wars: The Force Awakens and Mad Max: Fury Road, suffered a traumatic injury while filming a scene that included her riding on a motorcycle. During this scene, she collided with one of the camera cranes, resulting in her going into a medically induced coma for 2 weeks and having her arm amputated, which essentially forced her into retirement. Aside from the amputation, Jackson's other injuries included cerebral trauma, a crushed face, a severed artery in her neck, a paralyzed arm, several broken ribs, a shattered scapula, a broken clavicle, torn fingers with a thumb that needed to be amputated, and 5 nerves torn out of her spinal cord. This wasn't the end of the production's bad luck either, as a crew member by the name of Ricardo Cornelius was crushed under the weight of a Hummer that was intended to be used in a chase scene in the film.
3.
The Crow, Brandon Lee's final performance. We all know about this one. Although some may argue that it's not a stunt, anything involving active firearms is a risk, so we're counting it on this list. It's a sad thing to hear when you know that he died on set of what would be a legendary film, much like his father did. As the scene was being filmed, Brandon Lee was killed after Michael Massey fired the gun at Lee as intended. The bullet was unseated from a dummy round that was lodged in the barrel of the prop handgun. The bullet was not noticed, and the gun was loaded with a blank cartridge. When the blank was fired, the bullet shot out and hit Lee in the abdomen. Lee died soon after on the set.
2,
SemiPro, bear mauled trainer to death. Will Ferrell is known for his side-splitting comedies, which often contain ridiculous and hilarious imagery. SemiPro was no different, and one scene called for a giant grizzly bear to wrestle with the star himself. Bears can be trained to do all sorts of things, like ride bikes and even hang out in a hot tub with humans without mauling them to death. In fact, they can appear to be quite friendly after years of training by skilled professionals. However, even if animals have been trained, they're still wild and unpredictable, no matter how well behaved they've been taught to act. The 5-year-old bear named Dewey in SemiPro upheld this fact when it lashed out in a shocking and unwarranted rage. Fortunately for Ferrell, his scene was completed without incident. The bear's trainer, Randy Miller, was not so lucky. While in the company of 3 trainers, the 7-foot-tall grizzly bear tore into the neck of Miller with its massive jaws. Miller's co-workers made a vain attempt to pry the animal's mouth from its death grip, but Miller died on the spot from blood loss. When you really think about it, was it honestly worth the trouble of having an actual bear on set for a Will Ferrell comedy film? The scene was hilarious, but still.
1,
The Expendables, Stallone breaks his neck. Sylvester Stallone is without a doubt one of the most iconic action film stars of our time. That being said, he's going on 70 years old, and although he was 64 during the filming of this, there's going to have to be a time where he has to slow down with all the physical work he does in these films. For example, in the first Expendables film, he broke his neck. That's right, Stallone broke his neck on the set of The Expendables while he was filming a fight scene during the film's climax. In this fight, Sylvester Stallone takes part in hand-to-hand combat with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, there's no way that was going to end well.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.